All right, good morning. Good morning. We are officially starting. Yeah, let's join Ebony, get it all, everyone going on here.
Come on, y'all, let's wake up. Let's wake up.
We appreciate you being here this morning. I'm John Ahmann. I lead the Westside Future Fund. We are very grateful to be the host of this Transform Westside Summit. And we've got a great program with you this morning. I'm excited to be here with my co-host, Ebony.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. It's time to wake up. Y'all enjoying y'all breakfast? Good. I didn't get a chance to get none yet, so yeah. My name is Ebony Ford. I am a very proud English Avenue resident, very proud Hollis Innovation parent, and I'm a director at Quest, all here on the West Side, Best Side.
Yeah, no. So for those, we always like to start our programming welcoming those that are here for the first time. So we want to make sure you feel welcome. We'll talk a little bit about our program. I know some of the old timers know that very well. But if you're new, would you raise your hand so we can welcome you?
Yes.
All right, thank you, new folks. And just for the new folks and for the folks that are here, we are live. As soon as we started this morning, we started broadcasting live on YouTube and Facebook. And so we have a couple cameras around, and as soon as the program is over, it's available on our social media platforms. So our program this morning, for folks that are here for the first time, in just a moment we're going to transition to a devotion, and I'll talk a little bit about that, and that'll be, right around 8 or 10 minutes. And then after the devotion, Ebony's going to take the time for everyone to be able to self-introduce. So for folks that are new, this is a really important principle of our meeting, because a big purpose of the Transform Westside Summit is to help connect us. And so these self-introductions, so we can all get to know each other, are critical. Then I'll lead a panel discussion with Kaiser, and I'll introduce them in just a bit. But so much of what happens on the West Side, the impact it has on health. And living now in Vine City, there's a whole body of work around social determinants of health and how that impacts people's health in terms of the neighborhood you live in, the housing you live in. So we'll be talking about that later this morning. And then we will be doing a drawing with Goodwill in the Home Depot at the very end, and then we'll be done by 9 o'clock, right?
9 o'clock, yep, and you guys will be on your way. I'm really looking forward to this conversation about Kaiser's ongoing commitment to end homelessness and preserve affordable housing by making strategic grants, shaping policy, and catalyzing innovative partners. Good conversation.
That sounds good.
It does, doesn't it? And make sure that you guys do subscribe to our monthly impact newsletter. John, you want to thank your team?
So Candace Wheeler, our our director of communication, does a great job, but we really like to tell a lot of the great stories of the work going on the West Side. So we talk a lot about our new homeowners moving into the community, but we also like to talk about a lot of the other great stories. And so if you have ideas you'd like us to put out there, so social media platform, please let us know. We'd love to get it out there.
For sure. And in addition to subscribing to our monthly impact newsletter, we also invite you to get engaged with us on our social media platforms via Instagram, Twitter, which is now X, and Facebook. If you're watching the summit from YouTube right now, make sure you like and subscribe. If you're here in person, as John mentioned, we're going to have a drawing a little bit later, so make sure that you do get your raffle tickets in the table from when you came in. Make sure you get those, okay? And stay for the drawing. Don't leave early.
All right. Thank you. And just to make sure that you saw it also, all the bios of all our speakers this morning are in our I've got a printout, but we have a few printed out if you'd like one. But there's a QR code up on the front desk to make sure you get a hold of our program. And we're going to now transition to our devotion speaker. So for those that we're welcoming for the first time, this is such an important part of our meeting. And our devotion draws inspiration from the story of Nehemiah. And so that the Nehemiah and the Older Testament goes back to rebuild Jerusalem, by building walls, but most of the story is about the principles of building community as a part of making Nehemiah a safe place again for its residents. And so we just ask our devotion speaker to draw inspiration from Nehemiah, not necessarily quote from it. But I'm very pleased this morning, and we also love to have a member of our community, lead that devotion. I'm going to introduce Les in just a second. But to ground it, I'm going to read a statement that we always read, and it's printed up behind me. It's become our tradition to begin our meetings with a positive, inspirational message from a member of our community. Recognizing that many in our community are driven by their spiritual faith to participate in the Westside revitalization effort, the time at the beginning of our meetings is an opportunity to share various inspirational reflections While the speakers may articulate their personal faith, it's meant to be inclusive, inspiring, and meaningful with the story of Nehemiah as our guide. So I'm really excited that Les agreed to do this morning. Thank you, Les. He is an English Avenue resident, so just lives across the street, across North Side. He works as a life coach for one of our key partners on the West Side, Chris 180, doing a lot of work around health, especially mental health. He is married, been married for 27 years. That's quite it. We don't want to say that number. Oh. And he has served as public safety chair for the MPU, so a lot of public safety issues in the neighborhood. And what I really appreciate about Les as well, when we started our housing program, some of our first homes, Pulte built at cost, and we helped folks from the community get into those housing, and Les's family was one of the first. So thinking about that lesson of Nehemiah building community, I really appreciate how Les models that, because his home is right literally across the street from Chris 180, and he also mentors a lot of the youth that are going to Chris 180. I know you take weekends and do other things with the youth there. So just that modeling of behavior that we learn about in Nehemiah, I really appreciate how you model that in your own life, Les. So please come up and lead us in that devotion.
Good morning, everyone. So, as you talked about, I'm going to talk about Nehemiah, but I'm going to tell a story. So again, just going with Nehemiah, Nehemiah was basically trying to protect his community, have his community safe, and he was really trying to get people to help one another. All right, so I'm going to tell a story. My story starts about 30 years ago, all right? 30 years ago, all right? And it starts on a street. It's a 6-lane highway. It's 3 lanes going this way, 3 lanes going that way, all right? And for you to cross the street, you would have to play Frogger. I don't know if any of y'all know about Frogger, but for those that don't, Frogger was a video game that, you move your little frog up, in the street, and then if a car was coming, you had to move back, and the car, but anyway, you had to get across the street. The point is that there was a MARTA station on the other end of the street. There was a low-income housing on the other side of the street too. And so, has anyone stayed in low-income housing before? If you have, you would know that a lot of people who stay there are elderly, and they have fixed income, all right? And then you also have people who are working, but they don't have vehicles. So the only reason that we're able to travel is that they have to cross the street and pray Frogger to get on the MARTA station. All right, so it was about maybe 300 yards either left or right to get to the red light so that you could cross the street, all right? So y'all got that picture in your head, okay, all right? So there was an elderly lady. I don't really know her story or what was so important, but she had to get to where she had to go, all right? Maybe it was she got an emergency phone call saying that her grandson was in the hospital or something like that. I don't know her full story, but she had to get to where she needed to go immediately. So she got dressed, she got ready to go, and she was walking, right? And so she knew that wherever she had to go, she could not go to the right or to the left. She had to go straight. Again, this is 3-lane highway, speed limit around 45. So that means people were moving around, 50, 55, you all right? Yeah, if someone says 60, yeah, it was, it was, and if it was rush hour, you can forget it, all right? I can still remember to this day, she was an elderly lady. I don't know her full name, so I'm gonna call her Miss Gaither because I can remember Miss Gaither and I don't have to keep on saying elderly later. So I can still remember how Miss Gaither was walking, right? She was taking little bitty steps like this. She had hips, so they were sticking out, so she was, that's how she was walking, right? And then, she could tell that she forgot her cane because whatever it is, it was a rush, so she'd be walking and she would kind of, but she was moving, right? And so she was about to cross the street. And so this gentleman, he saw her. I guess he must have knew her because in low income, everybody knows everybody. And so he's about to stop her like, Miss Gaither, you can't walk across the street. It's during rush hour. You're going to get hit. Miss Gaither's not even paying attention to the street. She's just keeping focus on her steps to move forward. And so he tries to stop her, and Miss Gaither kind of pulls out her purse and starts beating the guy, right? Like, leave me alone. That's when I kind of started noticing. It was like, what's going on? Why is this man attacking this older lady? What's going on? Man, only in the hood you see stuff like this, And so I could see, I'm going to call the older guy, well, the gentleman that was helping, we're going to call him Otis, all right? So Otis, I can see Otis in his mind like, hey, I can't let Miss Gaither get out in the road. She's going to get hit. But he was like, oh, I can't tackle her because then I'm going to be on the news, right? Man attacks older lady, tackles her and breaks her hip, and she will never walk again. News, we'll update you at 7 o'clock news. He knew that he did not want to do that. So he decided that he was going to stop traffic. So he immediately gets in the middle of the street, the point to stop traffic, and he's like pointing to, Miss Gaither, like, hey, I'm not crazy, I'm trying to stop traffic. So the person who first drove by him was, like I said, maybe doing 50, 60 miles per hour, honks the horn, swerves by him, yells at Otis, as he's passing by, gives him the number one finger. Y'all know what the number one finger is, right? All right. So he gives him the number one finger. So as I'm seeing this, I'm like, man, something's bad is about to happen. There's either about to be an accident that's going to happen, because you can see the cars checking up, and they wasn't stopping. They were actually moving into the other lane. Or Otis was about to get hit. Or Miss Gaither was going to fall because she forgot her cane. So I was just like, hey, this is not good. So I'm sitting back like, all right, Lord, help him, help this situation. So you can see Miss Gaither without her cane, she's like about to step onto the street. So Otis is trying to do all what he can do to try to stop traffic. So eventually, it was kind of amazing. I saw, I like to think that she was a lady. I couldn't see who she was, but in my story, she's going to be a lady. I saw a lady who was in the third lane, and she realized that if I move into the middle lane, I can stop the cars that are on the first lane from moving into the middle lane, and I just need somebody in this third lane to stop. And we can help Otis, help Miss Gaither get across. And so she did. She moved into the middle lane and stopped. That stopped the car. And then the next person behind her immediately stopped. And then that allowed a clear path, at least for the first 3 lanes. And Otis was so happy. He was just like, thank you, thank you, thank you. Then he ran over to the next 3 lanes, and he did the same thing, and pretty much the same thing happened. Everybody's cussing at Otis. Everybody's yelling at Otis. Otis is, they're honking their horn. But eventually, the same thing happened, all right? And so Miss Gaither was able to go across. He helped Miss Gaither get up on the sidewalk. There was another amazing thing that happened with the whole ordeal, is that no one on the 3-lane highways, right? Once these 3 lanes were good, when she crossed over, they still did not move. They waited until she got all the way into the other side before they moved. And nobody was honking or anything like that. But when she got over, I was relieved that she got over, that she was safe. But what made me think, it was like, Otis at that time, he had to act immediately. He had to take action immediately. He couldn't think about, will she accept my help? He couldn't think about, can I plan things out? Or I'm going to stop this red car, I'm going to stop this green car. He couldn't plan anything out. He had to take immediately action. He couldn't think about his past, about, hey, what some of the things that have happened in my past have been rejected by people who I've tried to help. He couldn't think about race, religion, politics. He just knew that, hey, I had to help. I think sometimes we don't help because maybe we are afraid. Maybe we don't help because we've been hurt before by people who we've tried to help. Maybe the biggest reason why we don't help is because at that time we were vulnerable. And we don't like to feel vulnerable. And so we kind of put up blinders, vulnerable blinders, so that we don't see people who are hurt or we don't see people who need help. I think one of the things that I always try to remember, let me hit the mic, one thing that I always try to remember when I'm trying to help somebody is if they really, 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 really need my help, they don't care what I look like. They don't care how much money I'm not making, right? They just want help. And sometimes you have to offer your help as a gift, right? So therefore, your help is an obligation. Because sometimes we give help and it's an obligation. Well, I'm going to help you, but you got to do X, Y, and Z. No, your help that you're going to be helping someone is going to be a gift to them. So what they do with that gift is on them. That way you are free from anything. There's another story that I'm going to tell real quick is imagine you riding in a desert, going maybe 200 miles. You've done everything. You filled your car with gas, you've gotten food, gotten water, and all that kind of stuff. And you've been driving for hours and you haven't seen a car for hours. Then all of a sudden your car breaks down. Only thing that you're thinking at that time is, I need someone to help me. Pull out your phone, you probably try to call, you realize you don't got no signal. You're standing on your car, raising, still no signal. But only thing that you're praying at that time is, Lord, send me somebody. Again, if you are praying that, can you imagine with someone who really, really needs help what they're praying for? At that time, you don't care what they look like. You don't. You're not praying, all right, God, send me a beautiful woman. Let her have long hair. Let her like sports, Star Wars. Oh, God, I also want her to learn how to, camping. No, you're not praying for any of that. Only thing you are concerned about is your safety. You want to make sure that whoever's helping you, that they're not going to hurt you and they're not going to take advantage of you. That's all you care about. All right? So, all right, look to your neighbor, right or left. So, hey, neighbor. We are all neighbors here, and we all need help. All of us, everybody in this room. There's one thing that you can say, one thing about your neighbor. Your neighbor to the right or to the left is either has a problem that they're facing right now, or they're either coming out of a problem, or they're either going into a problem. And it's up to your neighbor to kind of be vulnerable to say, hey, this is where I am. I'm in a problem. Or I can see I'm coming out of a problem. Maybe I can help you with the problem that I was in. Or, hey, I'm going to a problem. I need help. All right? So, well, I got 2 minutes. I'm doing pretty good. Go less. All right, so, but again, the reason why we don't really like helping is because we don't like that vulnerability that we have. And so again, we put up blinders so that it will protect us from being hurt. So ask yourself, ask help. Hey, God, help me to remove those blinders so that I can see my neighbor who's in hurt. Thank you for your time.
All right, Les, thank you for that. I appreciate that, heartfelt, kind of drawn from your own experience. And what I took out of that and thinking about the lesson of Nehemiah when he got back to Jerusalem, how am I going to act with people? How am I going to help people? How am I going to show up? And how am I going to lead with my heart? And what I heard in your stories is, do we choose? You said it. Do we choose to turn away, especially when confronted with people we don't know, not in our family, or do we act with, a compassionate heart? One of the quotes I love from Gandhi is, compassion is a muscle you have to exercise and to lean in. And especially as we think about this collective work, often when we don't know people that don't look like us, is how do we lean into each other? So I really appreciate that story about how we build community, from a compassionate heart. That's what I took from him. So thanks so much. Let's give it up to him again. Thank you. And now I'm going to ask Ebony to take us through our self-introductions. So are you ready? Yep. So this is the part where we'll go through and Ebony will walk through how we're going to do our self-introductions. Thanks,
right.
Ebony.
Thank you. I never know which one of these to use when we get to self-introductions. Thank you again. I so appreciate your message. Okay, so now it is time for, as John mentioned, one of the most important segments of the summit when you guys get to stand up, take the mic, and introduce yourselves. Now we ask so that everyone can get a chance. Say your name, your affiliation, like your organization that you work with, and then stop, please, so that everybody can go. Okay, and I think I'm gonna go all the way across. We'll try to go all the way across, and then we'll do the group in the back last, okay? But I'll be there to help direct you guys. And
good morning. Happy Chick-fil-A morning, everybody. I'm Stefanie Hurst, Senior Health Director, Kaiser Permanente, Senior Director of Community Health, Kaiser Permanente. Thank you all for being here.
Good morning, Sylvia Morris, internist, Kaiser Permanente.
Hey, y'all. Good morning. Les Canty, Chris 180.
Good morning. I'm Atlanta native resident.
Good morning. I'm Keitra Bates of Marty's Shared Kitchen.
Good morning, Sully Welch, owner of the Welch Center and the Welch Martial Art Experience here in Vine City.
Good morning, Dr. Mario Stowers, Dream Seekers Sports Agency.
John Mansour, Development, QTS.
Good morning, Evan Karanovich with Chick-fil-A.
Good morning, Dr. Leroy Wright, Senior Pastor of First Thessalonian Missionary Baptist Church, and you're all invited to our community feeding tomorrow morning of fish and grits.
Hey, good morning. I'm Neil Shorthouse with Partners in Change, personal, social, and upward mobility for all people.
Good morning, Charles Brooks with the same house.
Julie Wyrick with Wyrick Consulting. Good morning, everybody. I'm Kathleen Bryant with Partners in Change, and we're providing free life coaches for under-resourced adults pursuing new goals.
Greetings. My name is Kendra Kelly. I'm with Partners in Change.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Marty McNair from the Jordan McNair Foundation.
Hey, good morning. I'm Gavin McGuire, and I have the honor of leading the Grove Park Foundation.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Kyle Brown, the CEO of the Bookstore Gallery, a community center and apothecary here in Castleberry.
Hi, everyone. My name is Stacy Thompson. I'm a real estate agent with GG Sales Atlanta.
Good morning, Jason Lewis. I'm a corporate strategy for general contractor project builders.
It's early.
Good morning, Julius Thomas, Westside resident and a member of Judd Development.
Good morning, I'm Dallas Austin, head of Dallas Austin Distribution and Judd Development.
Good morning, I'm T. Dallas Smith, the other Dallas, and I'm proud to be a member of the Westside Future Fund.
Good morning, Dan Byers, McWhorter Realty Partners, and here today to learn on behalf of the Atlanta Commercial Board of Realtors.
Good morning, Tony Alexander with Ingenuity Unlimited.
Good morning, Torian Priestley with the Benoit Group and also a board member of Grove Park Foundation.
Good morning, my name is Amy Woodson. I am Chief of Staff at the same house and Executive Director for First Step on the West Side.
Good morning, I'm Alan Bell with Atlanta Resource Foundation.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Dale Ianides with School is In.
Good morning, everyone. I am Ebony Charlie, future resident of the West Side. And hey, thank y'all. And I am owner of Trinity Financial Management Solutions. Good to be with you all.
Good morning. Marcellus Lewis, Atlanta resident and creative director of Lemon Street. Thank you.
Laura Harry, Among Friends, Planning and Design Brookwood Group and Grove Park Foundation.
Good morning, I'm Anthony Bellows. I'm a Legacy resident and a volunteer.
Good morning, family. I'm still working. Okay. Good morning, family. I'm Tillman Ward, lifelong resident of the historic West Side. As a Legacy resident, it was brought to my attention, Booker T. Washington High celebrating its 100th birthday. I had a classmate that was the first graduate of Emory. He had a brother that attended Washington High, Emory, and Harvard, and was a tenured instructor at Harvard and donated or responsible for at least 1,000 books being donated in Africa so they won't have a literacy and a health challenge as they did. So I want to thank each of you for being part of that historic West Side legacy. Keep up the great work.
Continuing with Booker T, my name is Sandra Bush. Booker T. Washington graduated from the Hampton University, my school, and I reside in Ashview Heights, Booker T. Washington neighborhood.
Good morning, JT Batson, CEO of U.S. Soccer.
Good morning, Dan Canty, and I'm the host for the U.S. Soccer Federation's U National Training Center at Trilith.
Good morning, Assad Majid with Trilith Studios.
Good morning. My name is Tom Brown. I'm a former partner for one of the big four public accounting firms. And after retirement, I'm looking to fill my time in social responsibility and investment funding. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kenyatta Johnson. I am a broker and developer. I'm also here on behalf of Morehouse Alumni Real Estate Association, and I attended English Avenue Elementary School.
Good morning, I'm Craig Summers, Bridging the Gap Ministries, Racial Reconciliation.
Good morning, Bob Dickinson with Steam Sports Foundation. We provide scholarships to women of color who aspire to be motorsports or automotive engineers.
Hi there, I'm Anna Shrews. I'm with Chick-fil-A.
Good morning, Louise Taylor, a retired educator with a lifelong passion for building community.
Good morning, Ross Cathy with Chick-fil-A.
Good morning, Linda Adams, Vine City resident.
Good morning, everyone. Sheldon Hill, Foreclosure International, specialized in foreclosure prevention.
Good morning, Mark Crump, Brassfield and Gorey. We're a general contractor.
Good morning. My name is Lene Salters. I am one of the parent liaison in the Washington cluster, and I also have a non-business called Divine Steps. Good morning, everyone. I'm Dana Brown, Director of Parenting and Adoption Support Services with Families First. And Ebony, I got to give this plug. We are having a back-to-school bash on July 20th, and we are located across the street from Ashby train station. So come on out and enjoy and join us.
Good morning. I'm Ken Neighbors. I'm a partner at the law firm of McGuire Woods, past chair of Families First.
Good morning. My name is Archie Emerson. I am the president of the Empire Board of Realtors and a broker and owner dedicated Realty Incorporated and the owner of NID. We are a HUD housing counseling agency. And I am the broker agent that's the seller for Westside Future Fund.
Good morning. My name is Leela Gill. I'm with the Empire Board of Realtors and NID Housing Counseling Agency.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Monica Ball. I'm with Connector Park Foundation and the Atlanta's Connector Park Project.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kendall Cunningham. I'm a district executive with the Boy Scouts of America, and I serve in the Southwest Atlanta area.
My name is Charity Drabick, and I'm here to support Kendall. I'm with the Atlanta Area Council as well.
My name is Kiana Collins. I'm a relocation specialist with House Tours of Atlanta.
Matthew Coleman, VI Capital Lending Group.
Jabari Long, developer with Cash Flow Detroit.
Hi, I'm Christy Beam. I'm a longtime Atlanta educator and currently founding Georgia Accelerated Career Academy, which is a new public charter school for students grades 6 through 12 that will allow them to earn a family-sustaining wage upon graduation by earning associate degrees and career credentials while in high school. So thank you.
I'm Andrew Isaacson. I'm here from the Famous Group to support the Atlanta's new Connector Park.
Good morning, Trevor Gunter, English Avenue resident.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Doug Hooker. I'm with the Connector Park Foundation, an effort to build a cat park over the expressway between North Avenue and 5th Street.
Hello, everybody. My name is C.L. Quibido. I am a graduate student of sociology at the University of New Orleans, and I'm working on as a research assistant on a project about Atlanta's reputation.
Good morning, y'all. My name is Jeffrey Parker. I'm an assistant professor of sociology at University of New Orleans, and I'm in the middle of 6 months here in Atlanta working on a project, actually borrowing Doug's office. So yeah, happy to be here.
Hello, my name is Ebony, and I live in Vine City.
Good morning, all. My name is Eric Wilder. I'm with ATL Care.
Good morning. I'm Ken Stockdale with the Georgia World Congress Center Authority.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Tamil Harris from the Mayor's Office.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lynn Mirrell, affordable housing provider in the West End.
Good morning. I'm Mandy Eatson with Self-Help Credit Union.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ivy Hall with Momentous Capital, here to support the small business owners in the West End.
Good morning. My name is Derek Blassingame, candidate for Post 3 City Council, future mayor of Atlanta.
I don't know if I could follow that up, you know what I'm saying? My name is Solomon. I'm an independent filmmaker and a West Side resident.
Good morning, John Ross, Peachtree Commercial Capital. We fund real estate projects.
Good morning, Corey Bishop with Atlanta Volunteer Lawyers Foundation.
Good morning, John McGee with VI Capital Lending.
Good morning, Tony Wimby, board member of Nehemiah Project Community Development Corporation.
Good morning, Nikki Wimby, resident.
Good morning, Mary Spanberg, Kaiser Permanente.
Good morning, Brian Huh, U.S. Soccer.
Good morning, Clay Huckabee, Capital City Public Affairs.
Good morning, Caitlin Behringer with Food as Medicine provider, Open Hand Atlanta.
Bob Butler, with Banker Real Estate.
Sean Watwood, proud English Avenue resident and Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Good morning. My name is Kelvina Burrell, and I'm a community advocate.
Good morning. Rob Bronner, Executive Director with the Atlanta Beltline Partnership.
Good morning, Maria Supporta with Supporta Report and Atlanta Way 2.0.
Good morning, everyone. Muriel Murphy, West Side resident.
Good morning. I'm David Davis with the Connector Park Foundation.
All right, thank you. We have a great crowd this morning. And what I always appreciate about these self-introductions is just reflecting how many resources reflected to the people in this room. And as we build community, build a greater West Side, what these connections can mean to really accelerating and lifting progress. So if you heard someone you think you might be interested to know, hope you after the program you take the time to do that, or you think back to the story, you heard someone you think you might be able to help, maybe lean into that as well. But thanks for taking the time to do these self-introductions, such an important part of our program. And now we're going to shift to our program part. I'm really glad that we have Kaiser Permanente. They've been part of this work on the West Side, at least since I started going about 10 years ago. So I want to ask you to come on up, and you can welcome Stefanie Hurst, who's the Senior Director of Community Health with Kaiser, and Dr. Sylvia Morris, the Hospital and Area Physician Market Lead. So please, and thank you for welcoming them. So really appreciate both of you being here this morning and all the work of Kaiser on the West Side. Thank you. And
great to be here.
Yeah, thank you. And to help folks just know a little bit more about each of you and your work, could you just please tell us a little bit more about yourself and your work? So I'll start with Stefanie.
Yeah, good morning. So I'm Stefanie Hurst again. I come to Kaiser Permanente just shy of about a year ago. Before that, I served at Grady Health System for the better part of a decade. I lead the community health initiatives. Kaiser is a national health plan headquartered in Oakland, California. We're in 7 states. So we abide by a national plan of pillars for our community health investment work, and then we actualize it locally. So 75% of how we invest is in partnership with our national office, and 25% is what we call unique market needs specific to our part of the country, if you will. What we do majoritively, in addition to that, is we align all of our community investment to our community health needs assessment. We're in the midst right now we do our community health needs assessment every roughly 3 to 5 years. We're partnered with Georgia Health Policy Center right now, working on a new community health needs assessment, making sure that the way we're investing correlates to the highest priority needs for Atlanta and the state of Georgia. Last year, we gave $53 million back to the community. That's both Kaiser members as well as community members who are not Kaiser members necessarily. Most of that is in charitable health care, giving individuals health care support financially when they need it. And then I'm proud to say $5 million of that went directly back into the community via grant making. And those pillars that I referenced that we align to are very innovative still for healthcare. Grady is an incredibly innovative place because of its mission. Many healthcare systems are not necessarily whole person focused as far as investment goes, both in their community and for their members. And that's really what drew me from such a mission-placed organization as Grady to migrate over to Kaiser, as I say, that mission base. So we align to food as medicine. I heard someone in here mention food as medicine. We do things like economic opportunity. We invest there. We invest in mental health, of course, maternal health, and what brings us here today, we heavily invest in housing as health because we believe at Kaiser that without housing, it's very difficult to have good health. As I have said recently, if you don't have a place to stay, you don't have a roof over your head or for your family, it's very difficult to focus on preventative care like flu shots, etc. So that's what Kaiser's all about.
No, thank you for telling us about yourself too.
Yeah,
and Dr. Morris, let's hear a little about you.
Absolutely. Good morning. I'm originally from Los Angeles, and I went to Berkeley undergrad and have been here in Atlanta going on 18 years. People ask me where I'm from, and I'm like, I'm from Los Angeles. But most recently, someone said that now I'm at Peach, or at least I have peach fuzz. So I thought that was kind of nice. I'm with Kaiser Permanente, Georgia, and I have been an internist. And what I do is I work in the observation unit. So you're too sick to go home, but not sick enough to go to the hospital. And then I also have marketing and administrative responsibilities. But I'm very excited to be in this wonderful room.
No, thank you. And I think the next question also for you, and I really appreciate how much thought that Kaiser gives to this, but talk a little bit more about Kaiser's integrated approach to healthcare, Dr. Morris.
Definitely. So when you think about healthcare, there are two ways in which healthcare is delivered. So either it is fee for service, so basically eat what you kill. You go to the doctor, he, she, they order imaging, they order medications, they provide you a service, they bill the insurance company, everyone goes on their way. The thing that makes Kaiser Permanente unique is that we are an integrative delivery network, which simply means that both the health plan as well as the physicians or providers, we partner because our goal is to make sure that you are healthy. When you think about healthcare, we call all of our patients members because ideally you are a member of the plan and you're not necessarily a patient, i.e. seeing me and having an acute episode. Our job is to keep you well. So what we say is we provide the right care at the right place at the right time. To really kind of drive home how we are different, if you go to one of our medical office buildings, you can see a physician, you can get your prescriptions filled, you can have an x-ray, all in one building. And at our larger facilities, you also can see the specialists, you can have MRI, all of these things. My incentive as a physician is to keep you well. So that's Kaiser Permanente.
No, thank you. And, Stefanie, you talked a little bit about it, but could you talk a little bit more about Kaiser's community health work in Georgia and specifically really what you're focused on now, especially on the west side of Atlanta?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've made a significant investment in the west side over the last several years. I know Ebony's from Chris 180, I believe. So Chris 180 is a significant partner as well as the West Side Future Fund.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Quest is a partner, those all on the west side. What we align to is really to get more specific into our housing pillars, it's prevention of unhoused or homelessness, it's response to homelessness, and then it's on the medical respite side. So medical respite is just that. It's when somebody is in medical crisis and they're not housed, and so it's investing in them having a place while they respite. We do a lot in the veterans homeless space, that's the response, and then that investment in preventing, which is in preservation and production of housing. So it's prevention, responding, and then specifically on the medical side.
Great, so thank you. And if folks are interested in following up in those areas, are you the right contact?
I am.
I can imagine people in this audience, light bulbs are going off.
I hope so.
So Dr. Moore, something we work a lot, and I've really come to appreciate working in this over the last 8 years, but how, not just housing affordability, I'm gonna add another adjective, quality. Quality housing affordability, how that affects healthcare and access to overall well-being. And one that I'm particularly interested too in living now on the west side, the impact it can have on mental health. So maybe just talk a little bit about how housing affects health and especially around the mental health space as well versus quality versus not quality.
So let's first talk about health. So when you think about health, it's your mind, it's your body, and then what we call the social determinants of health. So you can't be healthy if you don't have a place to live, if you don't have transportation to get your job, if you are unemployed or don't have what we call resources or money, if I can be quite blunt. So when we think about health, I can do everything for your blood pressure, I can put you on the right medicine, I can get you to the nutritionist, all of those things. But if you are unhoused, and I use the word unhoused because really it is a problem of housing affordability and availability. It is not that people are homeless. Their home is here in Atlanta or Seattle, wherever they happen to live. So when we're talking about unhoused people, citizens, I cannot do my job because they are very much focused on where they're going to live. So if we think about unhoused people, they could in fact live in their car, and we've all seen it. They could live in an extended stay motel. We've seen those. Certainly on the sides of freeways, under bridges. We know what homelessness is or what unhoused populations are. So when we talk about health, We know that health is wealth, and we also know that housing is health. So when you bring up the issue of mental health, when we think about unhoused persons in the United States, lots of them have chronic diseases that everyone may have in this room, so diabetes, hypertension, heart disease. Also high rates of mental illness, as well as substance use disorder, which previously was known as alcohol or drug abuse. All of those things impact their ability to interact such that they are able to find stable housing or have the resources for stable housing.
Thank you, and I appreciate, that all the research that goes into connecting housing with health and Kaiser's investment. So in the same way, it's obvious that a healthcare provider may build a hospital. I appreciate about Kaiser is you're helping people like the Westside Future Fund and others build healthy housing to improve those health outcomes. So Stefanie, could you talk a little bit about what Kaiser Permanente is investing in that area that you see in housing is helping improve health outcomes?
Yeah, the longer term goes back to those social determinants of health, right? If you have housing, it helps you find a stable job typically because you need an address when you're applying for a job, et cetera. Then you can find local health care that aligns to your home. You're not in a position where you're going to different entities, different crisis care, if you will, which is a lot of what Canty does, obviously, with the ED. But having a home helps a person correlate also to a medical home and access to that medical home. So I would say that that's the biggest part of how having housing correlates to a healthcare home. It's just being stationary, if you will. Right. Building those relationships with your provider, like Dr. Morris, that are integral to both preventative and long-term chronic conditions, et cetera.
Right. So coming right off that, Dr. Morris, and you said a little bit about this in your previous answer to the previous question, but a little bit more about how disparities in housing conditions contribute to health inequities. So I know that's kind of the research behind social determinants of health, but you could say a little bit more about housing equities correlate with health inequities.
Okay, so if you tell me your zip code, I can tell you your life expectancy. I can also probably tell you what chronic diseases are in your neighborhood. Oftentimes in areas where there is poor quality housing. Just this morning I was getting dressed and they were talking about an apartment complex that apparently had mold and had issues with the air conditioning. Those are things that we probably in this room don't think about. But with climate change, and certainly it's 93 degrees today, this is the second day of summer, right? So we're gonna have a very hot summer. If you don't have air conditioning, let's say you are elderly or you're very young and maybe you have asthma and you don't have AC, or if you have perfectly healthy and you don't have AC, on a 93-degree day, it's too hot and there are health consequences to heat. So that's one thing. So we talked about mold, we're talking about air conditioning, we're talking about access to healthy food. Your zip code determines if there is a supermarket that has fresh fruit in your neighborhood. We have been using the word food deserts for probably well over a decade now. We still have food deserts. It determines if you have access to care. So I work half the time in Jonesboro. So we know that south of I-20, we have Southern Regional, as far as hospitals are concerned, and then we get to Piedmont Henry. So your ability to access high quality care in a timely fashion is also limited. Those are probably the biggest things that are top of mind for me.
May I add there? Yeah. Dr. Morris gave me a wonderful segue into our work, our upcoming work in 2024. Kaiser is, again, overall the national footprint. We are working towards medical legal partnerships, and it will work on facets that Dr. Morris spoke of, like mold remediation, legal representation with inappropriate eviction, asthma kits in homes that help the word I'm looking for, circulating the air, et cetera, right? Making your air more quality for children and adults, elderly folks with asthma. So that's referred to as a medical legal partnership, and that's another innovative approach on Kaiser's part, getting healthcare leaders, physicians partnered with the legal community to represent our members and our community overall.
And remember, if you don't have a stable place to live, that means you probably can't afford your medications or they're not top of mind to take. So all of the work that myself and my colleagues do to try and control your heart disease or your diabetes is for naught, because again, the primary focus is, well, where am I living? Where am I staying? Are my children safe? Is my partner safe? Are my parents safe? So it's really important that we start with housing as an issue, and then we can move to health and the other social determinants of health.
No, thank you. And maybe one more question, then we're going to open up to the audience. But I, appreciated under the, I think the ways that some of the classifications work with the federal government. If a neighborhood, if 50% of its residents plus one at a certain income levels, it's classified as poverty, a high poverty neighborhood. That leads you to one set of framing, one set of thinking about how to solve that problem. But often I've learned that this concentration can also lead to another really unfortunate health outcome, traumatization. And so if you took that same neighborhood and reframed it traumatized, right, it might lead you to a different approach in terms of your framing. And as you think about Kaiser's integrated approach in healthcare, I know y'all think a lot about how trauma and thinking about people who are in these neighborhoods experiencing inequity have been traumatized, how that informs your own approach.
Well, when I'm at the bedside, I am present with the patient. And it's really important to start out with what they are interested in, because my list of priorities and what the patient or the member is interested in, they may not be aligned. And if I start out by saying to the member, hey, what are you most concerned about? And then I have to take a deep breath and I have to listen and give them a few moments, because sometimes in healthcare, we don't do a really good job of listening. I know that doesn't happen to any of you, but I will say that dirty little secret in public. But I think it's really important that we are aware of the communities in which people live and have a better understanding. So then it's about me asking the question of, do you have any issues with housing? How did you get here today? I had a patient once. She came with a mobile access van through MARTA. That stops at 4 o'clock, I believe. Someone I'm sure will be able to correct me in the audience. She ended up being at her appointment until 5 or 6 o'clock. So then we had to figure out, well, how are we going to get this little old lady home? And of course, in my naivete, I said, oh, well, do you have someone that can come and pick you up? She was like, no, darling, I do not. So then you have to start to use the other resources that we have as an organization to get this little old lady home. And oh, by the way, make sure she picks up her medications from the pharmacy too, because we don't want her to run out of her meds, because then she will be back to see me sooner rather than later. So when you talk about trauma, I think lots of it, certainly it comes down to resources. There are a lot of resources and access in this room. And when we talk about poor people, what we forget is that they are our neighbors, and the things that happen to poor people also happen to us. Something as simple as we saw with COVID, communicable disease, right? So if your neighbors got it, that means you could get it too. So it's really important that we think about this as a collective. So you use the word trauma, I like that. Unhoused populations, but thinking about it as a community and how do we do better to help the least of us.
No, thank you. And to get ready to go, I was going right back to the devotion list, because what's in that gap is the act we take in that gap to help that person. And as important as the medication may be, it's how do we respond as a human to that person as our neighbor. And so thank you. And we're excited, and we always like to have our Transform Westside Summit. I love the questions from the audience. So if you have a question, raise your hand and a mic will be brought to you. We may not have time. We got about 10 minutes or so to get to all the questions. But when you receive the mic, remember to hold it relatively close to your mouth so that folks can, so the mic can pick you up. So raise your hand and Ebony will bring the mic your way.
And remember, I don't have my doctor hat on tightly today.
Right, and she's not ready to give you a diagnosis.
Yes, what I'd like to know is, what are you guys doing in the housing area?
That's some of that investment that I spoke of, both preservation and production. We have investment in housing, affordable housing throughout the Kaiser footprint, and that's also specific to Atlanta. Over the last several years, it's been in totality, and I'm glad to afterward get you some more specifics or email you, but it's been around the $13 million range of investment in affordable housing within Atlanta.
And if I may share a story about one of my colleagues, Dr. Taylor, we had a veteran who was unhoused. And at the second visit, we figured out that he was living in his car. So we had to figure out, well, how do we get this veteran safe housing, safe and affordable housing? So that was a very long conversation. It took lots of people at Kaiser Permanente to help get this particular veteran appropriate housing. But veterans are at greater risk for being unhoused because of social isolation, PTSD, there may be substance use disorder. So there are lots of opportunities in which we can help our veterans population.
And of those three pillars that I referenced, responsiveness, prevention, and medical, veterans are part of that responsiveness pillar, specific to responding to veterans, as Dr. Morris said.
Thank you. So I work directly with Title I schools and who do not have PTAs or foundations. Atlanta Public Schools, within the last year, they redid their literacy plan. And within that plan, they stated that the city of Atlanta is in a public health crisis in the area of literacy. And so I'm curious what your thoughts are on the connection between healthcare and education.
So definitely health literacy is really important. Especially now with technology, we tend to say, well, you can do this on the app or you can log on. So that implies that you have internet, that implies that you have a smartphone. My father was 91 and he had a flip phone. So there was no internet for him, or at least not easily. So when you talk about literacy, it's important to really have an understanding of the patient in front of you and how we can make sure that we are connecting with them. There has been certainly a push not to use paper. I tend to print out what we call a discharge summary and I hand it to them. The nurses, they highlight it and they circle things. So I tell them the discharge instructions verbally, the nurse tells them again, it can be on paper, they can go online. But to your point, literacy is really very important.
And it correlates, it's similar to that healthcare, housing for health, right? If you don't have a house, your literacy rates are lower. You know, you don't want to go to school if you didn't sleep well the night before. You don't want to go to school if you didn't have a place to pack your lunch that day. You don't want to go to school if you have to take care of your siblings. You don't want to go to school if your access to the school is too far because your housing is unstable and you didn't have transportation. Those social determinants of health, we're learning as we become more sophisticated in the healthcare space. So social determinants of health correlate to everything societally: literacy, healthcare, economic development.
And neighborhood. I love the devotion this morning describing exactly what Gavin McGuire would tell you about Grove Park, the ability, after building a community school, after building YMCA and a healthcare clinic, after building 110 units of affordable housing with veterans living in the VEO as unhoused and semi-housed. When we finish these wonderful anchor projects with incredible lift and effort, there's still the connectivity, that the ability for the grandmother to cross the street from the housing and go to the healthcare clinic is still a challenge. We do now have a road diet. But I'm interested because we saw such awareness from Kaiser, Robert Woods Johnson, the health CDC, about neighborhood infrastructure, and even in community benefits from nonprofit hospitals. So I'm interested in Kaiser, when you go from your individual programs, the connectivity that infrastructure has helped, and live work neighborhood has helped, how you make the neighborhood reconnect.
Yes, absolutely. So we would consider that access to care, and part of that investment I referred to last year is specific to in the rural geography of the state, as well as neighborhoods, to your point, in supporting clinics and federally qualified health centers. That's part of what we fund, and that is how you see it show up most in specific neighborhoods. It's that investment into your point, that localized care. And that's what we refer to as access to care. And that is one of our pillars that we invest in throughout the nation. Yeah, I wish I had a government affairs partner here today. They like to say that, and they say this rightly so, Kaiser Permanente is the tip of the spear when it comes to public affairs, public advocacy, and having a voice within the elected official process. So that's where that crossing the street part would come in, DOT. Yeah.
All right, do we have another question? You know, raise your hand.
I got a question.
All right, yes, sir.
Well, I got a question. I've been on this West Side since 2010. And Westsiders need jobs. And I had a dream that Kaiser's going to put a hospital somewhere in this community, and it's going to employ a lot of folks here, because jobs lead to higher self-esteem, higher morale, higher opportunities. It reduces homelessness. It reduces recidivism. It provides opportunities. So the Westsiders need jobs. So my question to you is, what is Kaiser doing? And it may not be a question you can answer. What is Kaiser doing to employ and to bring jobs to the West Side?
So I would say I would want to set the expectation appropriately and say it's overall in the community, which includes the West Side, obviously. But I would say what it would be there is our investment in future healthcare, clinicians, phlebotomists, administrative positions within healthcare, which we all know we're in desperate need of across the nation. There's an employment crisis within healthcare. And so part of our investment goes to the next generation of healthcare leaders. So I would say that that's where most of our community investment is. To your point, that is creating jobs, investing in the education of the next realm of healthcare leaders is where most of the KP investment is.
Yeah, I appreciate what you all do for the community as far as healthcare is concerned, but bring opportunities to the community, because that's going to do a much better job to lift people from poverty to upward mobility on the West Side. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
All right, could you describe what the Home on the West Side program involves? Screen.
Yeah, I think that's a question for me. So Home on the West Side is a program of the West Side Future Fund. Kaiser has been one of our charitable supporters to help support that program. But our Home on the West Side is all about connecting people who have a live, work, learn connection to these historic West Side neighborhoods. Did you live in the neighborhoods? Do you work in the neighborhoods? Graduate from one of the local schools? And we help, through Home on the West Side, we provide an anti-displacement tax fund for legacy homeowners. We provide high-quality rental, and we also provide workforce housing. And to help with that, we provide the charitable support helps with the affordability. So Tamika, our Director of Home on the West Side manager, is here waving her hand. So please talk to her more to learn about our Home on the West Side program. So thank you for that question. And I think we may have time for at least one more question. Yes, Tillman.
Mm-hmm. Yes, just that one question.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. As we have Meals on Wheels, are you working with the housing improvement? Can we have doctors, housing doctors on wheels? There are some legacy streets, some legacy structures and residents that kind of be missed, and we want them to be in the second of the next chapter of the West Side Works. Are you working with them as well?
Working with Meals on Wheels or working with...
that with Meals now, they're also in the housing and home improvement that can do some strategic things to help our residents stay in place. Are you working with, or can you work with them?
We can always look at expanding partnership and evolving partnerships, and we're always open to ideas and innovation. We do partner with Meals on Wheels. We also have, and this correlates to, as Dr. Morris spoke of earlier, those zip codes that are a priority for us. We have a mobile health vehicle, and we correlate that to the community health needs assessment, and we send that out with clinicians to take care of our communities that are in the most need and have the least access to health care. You're welcome.
No, thank you, and appreciate it as we kind of wind up this part of our program. Really appreciate being here today and give you the opportunity to have the last word. So maybe as you think about what you want people to really reflect on, remember from your remarks, the work Kaiser is doing, if there are any key points you want to emphasize as part of kind of your final remarks. So I'll start with you, Dr. Morris.
Yeah, I think top of mind for me is always voting. I want everyone to exercise their right because legislation obviously matters, and who's in office and the direction of things that go impact us all. So please vote.
I would just
and
say,
get a flu shot. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. August, Dr. Morris. They should start rolling out August. Thank you. I was fortunate enough to sit on a panel a couple of weeks ago, another housing panel, and Bill Bowling, who's the founder of the Atlanta Community Food Bank, hosted that panel, and he said something that really stuck with me, and this is a great part of why I personally am drawn to Kaiser and believe in it so much as a brand and a community leader. Housing and healthcare are some of the most daunting work we find societally right now, moving the needle, making an impact, really making a difference in the individual life. And what Bill said at the end of our time together there that day is he said, I've been doing this for 40 years. And he said, some people could say, well, you haven't solved food insecurity and you haven't solved housing. And he said, you have to stay faithful to the work of making things better. And so to me, that's what leads me to Kaiser. I know it's what led most of you in here this morning, this early morning. And that's what I would want us all to leave here with today, just to stay together and stay faithful to the work of making things better.
All right, say thank you. And I see Bill back in the audience, so thank you this morning. All right, we're going to let y'all leave the stage, but say thank you for staying faithful, and thank you for all the Kaiser's investment on the West Side too. We really appreciate not only the West Side Future, but other beneficiaries as well. So thank you to you both.
Yeah. Thank you.
Being here this morning. Yeah, please. All right, thank you.
So much.
Thank you. All right, we're in the final moments, and the very exciting part of our program is our gift card drawing, our big dollar gift card drawing, Goodwill North America and the Home Depot. So Ebony is going to call out a number, and it's on your check your ticket when you came in this morning.
Yep, and in addition to the gift card, we got a special notebook from Kaiser today. These are beautiful, it has a pen too, so you get a special little treat today if you win. So, without further ado, for the Home Depot card and Kaiser Permanente notebook, the red winning ticket number 399-1446. That's the red ticket, 399-1446. 399. Oh, all right. Okay. You can come on up right after we're done, okay? We'll get a picture, okay? Congrats. Okay, Goodwill of North Georgia. Winning blue ticket number is 130927. That's the blue ticket. 130927. Okay, congrats. Come up as soon as we're done, okay? Congrats. All right.
All right. Any final words, Ebony, as we get ready to close up, get ready for the weekend?
This was an awesome conversation. Honestly, you think of Kaiser Permanente, you think of, health insurance. So it was very, very good to just hear all the different things that they're doing in our community. So, and I was very, very grateful for the conversation. I hope you guys were as well.
All right, y'all, thanks for being here this morning. I hope you take out a key thing for me is how you lean into the gap to help people. Yep. So thank you for being here this morning. Have a great weekend.